This is Land of Havilah, 2 Chronicles 16. Judah and Israel have been enemies now for 3 generations. In the last generation, Judah pressed up into Israel, 2 Chronicles 13. And as we arrive in this chapter, Israel's king Baasha has turned the tables. He's retaken the lost land and pressed his way into Benjamin on the doorstep of Jerusalem. Verse 1. In the 36th year of Asa's reign, Baasha, king of Israel, went up against Judah and built Ramah, that he might not allow anyone to go out or come in to Asa, king of Judah. Comment: Ramah is 5 miles north of Jerusalem. Baasha has taken it and is in the process of fortifying it. And furthermore, his troops are patrolling the border to prevent anyone from crossing. Coming up, Asa is feeling threatened. Will he trust Yahweh as he did when the Ethiopians came up? What's his plan? Verse 2. Then Asa brought out silver and gold out of the treasuries of Yahweh's house and of the king's house, and sent to Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, who lived at Damascus, saying, Let there be a treaty between me and you, as there was between my father and your father. Behold, I've sent you silver and gold. Go, break your treaty with Baasha, king of Israel, that he may depart from me. Comment: Ben-Hadad's been staying out of it so far. He has treaties with both Israel and Judah, 1 Kings 15:19. Asa wants him to take sides with him. The silver and gold he sent to Ben-Hadad came from his own treasure and from the treasures of Yahweh's house, 1 Kings 15:18. In the last chapter, Asa dedicated silver and gold to Yahweh's house. Now he's robbed from Yahweh. Verse 4. Ben-Hadad listened to King Asa and sent the captains of his armies against the cities of Israel, and they struck Ion, Dan, Abel-Maim, and all the storage cities of Naphtali. Comment: Ben-Hadad broke his treaty with Israel and raided Israel's north. Verse 5. When Baasha heard of it, he stopped building Ramah and let his work cease. Comment: Baasha knows Ben-Hadad's now working for Asa, and that Ben-Hadad will keep attacking him on his north if he doesn't withdraw from Benjamin on his south, so he withdrew. Coming up, now that Benjamin belongs to Asa again, he'll make a proclamation that all Judah should pitch in with him with their labor to refortify it. No one will be exempt, 1 Kings 15:22. Verse 6. Then Asa the king took all Judah, and they carried away the stones of Ramah and its timber, with which Baasha had built, and he built Geba and Mizpah with them. Comment: Asa doesn't need Ramah to be fortified. He needs his reestablished border to be fortified. So all Judah's hauling stones and timbers from Ramah to the border towns. So what does Yahweh think about all this? Verse 7. At that time Hanani the seer came to Asa, king of Judah, and said to him, Because you've relied on the king of Syria and have not relied on Yahweh your God, therefore the army of the king of Syria has escaped out of your hand. Weren't the Ethiopians and the Lubim a huge army with chariots and horsemen exceeding many? Yet because you relied on Yahweh, he delivered them into your hand. For Yahweh's eyes run back and forth throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. You've done foolishly in this, and from now on you will have wars. Comment: Verse 7 was an eye-opener. Yahweh says he was planning on giving Asa a military victory over Syria, not that Asa should go groveling to Syria for help. Asa didn't need the word of the Lord on that, other than the written word of the old-time prophets. Throughout the law of Moses, Yahweh promised safety and security if his people would obey the law. So it wasn't a matter of alliances, it was a matter of sticking with Yahweh. And Yahweh told Asa's great-grandfather Solomon that the house of David would always rule in Jerusalem, 1 Kings 11:36, which is another reason Asa didn't have to worry about his safety. Regarding the treaty with Ben-Hadad, Yahweh said long before, quote, Don't make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, Exodus 34:15. So Asa didn't need Yahweh or a prophet to appear to him or tell him anything. The same's true for us, that most of the time we don't need a specific word from the Lord because our general guidance is already in the Scripture, but we think it doesn't apply to us or we're too derelict to take note of it. Verse 9 is worthy of hanging on a wall. From the New American Standard Bible, quote, The eyes of the Lord move to and fro throughout the earth, that he may strongly support those whose heart is completely his, end quote. He'll strongly support those whose heart is completely his. God's looking for someone whose faith isn't shaken by circumstances. In this case, Asa felt like Baasha was breathing down his neck and was a major threat, but it was just an illusion. Yahweh wasn't going to let anything happen. In verse 9, Yahweh chastised Asa with war the rest of his days. Therefore, what seemed like progress when Baasha withdrew was really just the start of more trouble. The seer who delivered Yahweh's criticism was just the messenger, but verse 10, Then Asa was angry with the seer and put him in the prison, for he was in a rage with him because of this thing. Asa oppressed some of the people at the same time. Comment, Asa's at fault and he's blaming everyone else. Verse 11. Behold, the acts of Asa, first and last, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. In the 39th year of his reign, Asa was diseased in his feet. His disease was exceedingly great, yet in his disease he didn't seek Yahweh, but just the physicians. Asa slept with his fathers and died in the 41st year of his reign. They buried him in his own tomb, which he had dug out for himself in David's city, and laid him in the bed which was filled with sweet odors and various kinds of spices prepared by the perfumer's art, and they made a very great fire for him. Comment, in the last chapter, quote, the heart of Asa was perfect all his days, end quote, which was all his days up to that point. He lost his faith in the last 5 years and went the way of Solomon. In verse 12, his feet went bad his last 2 years, exceedingly so, yet he didn't seek Yahweh, just the physicians. So he continued the pattern he started with Ben-Hadad, looking for help from men but not God. There's no criticism in going to physicians in verse 12, just of trusting them and not trusting Yahweh. Jeremiah 17:5, quote, Cursed is the man who trusts in man and whose heart turns away from the Lord. In verse 14, he built a fine new tomb for himself with a bed in it, which would be some type of platform for his body. The perfumers filled his resting place with sweet odors and various kinds of spices. But what's that if we smell good in death but make a stench of our life? 2 Chronicles 17 is next.